Hi guys, it's week 2 and today I'll be going through my kit and my gear. And the great thing about street photography is that it's not really gear heavy. You don't need the best of the best, you just need simple things that will make it easy for you to start your journey. So by the end of this I would have taken you through, what camera to pick and what to look for, but I'm just going to get started with what I have and what I like to bring with me when I'm shooting street photography. So in my bag I usually carry 2 cameras, so I usually have my main one and I'll have a second one just in case I have issues with storage or battery. My main camera that I use is my Canon 60 Mark II, so this is it. I recently upgraded as of 2 years ago. Before that I used the Canon 700D, which was a great camera that carried me from 2016 through till now. I still use it. The main reason I upgraded was because I needed a camera that had Wi-Fi. I needed to be able to send myself pictures, especially during shoots like London Fashion Week where I may need to edit on the go and I can't really carry around a laptop and edit on a laptop. So it's great for having like Lightroom and all these other editing programs on my phone. I can just quickly send that on. So the other reason why I went for the Canon 60 Mark II was because it's a full frame camera. I just wanted to have a change as someone that's kind of gone through so many different cameras. I just wanted to play about, see how I felt. And the main lens that I use is a Sigma 24-70 2.8, and the great thing about this lens is that it's the main one I use. I rarely take it off. I do have a 50mm lens that I also use. This is great for all types of photography, not just street photography, but I do find that my 50mm does cause issues when I'm shooting street photography, just because sometimes I do want to be able to zoom in and out, and sometimes, especially during Fashion Week, you have people appearing out of nowhere and I can either be too close, and the 50mm being fixed means I can't move, I can't zoom in and out, and it's me running around trying to work around the lens. Whereas with my 24-70, the lens works around me, which is great. So I'm able to zoom in, zoom out without having to move around, and it just makes my life so much easier. However, I do really want to point out that when it comes to cameras and it comes to gear, you do not need the best of the best. Like I mentioned before, my 700D, it goes for around 250 second hand, and it got me most of my opportunities today. It's so good. You just need to learn how to use what you have. You don't have to compete and try and keep up with everybody else, because I found that when I first shot Fashion Week, I would look around at the camera gear that everyone else had, and I felt like I shouldn't be there, especially when I was shooting for Refinery 29. I just looked at my gear and I said, I can't believe I'm shooting for them with the gear I have. But it wasn't about that. They'd seen my work and they thought I was worthy of being picked. And that's because I was able to use my camera, and in terms of editing style, that's all that matters. It's not about, specs of a camera, it's just about practicing and getting it down. So those are the 2 main lenses I use. However, I am thinking about adding in another one. So as I mentioned, the 24-70 is great. However, sometimes I do feel, especially during street photography and travel photography, is that I do want to be closer. So I have been looking at other lenses that can get me closer, get me the shot without having to, struggle or having to run across or try and get as close as I can. So I really do recommend that, especially if you're someone that's into street photography while traveling. During things like Fashion Week, you are usually quite up close. However, if you are at events or shows where you are distant or it's not open to the public, you may want to consider that as well, just because the 24-70 can only get you so far. I do recommend, especially if you're someone doing photography for Fashion Week or for a company that needs you to kind of turn around the work really quickly, I recommend looking at cameras that have Wi-Fi or getting Wi-Fi. I believe you can get memory cards that have Wi-Fi for some cameras and they work like that. Just so you're able to send yourself the work, so you don't have to wait till you get home and edit everything and you're up till late, especially if you have to go again during Fashion Week, which is what I used to do. I used to run home, and I don't live in London, so I would trek home, open up my laptop, put my memory card in, edit, and I would be there till about 2 a.m. trying to get it to them before the next day, and then I'd be up to go again for Fashion Week, and it's just exhausting. So being able to send it to your phone or to your laptop and work as you go will make such a difference in your life. Like, honestly, can't recommend it enough. Take it from someone that learned the long way. Don't do that. So moving on to memory cards, that's a massive part of my equipment and my gear, and I have a SanDisk and it's got 128 gigabytes on it, and honestly, you may think it's a very small thing, but again, take it from my experiences, make sure that when you're picking one, you've actually thought about it, because one thing I will say is that the brand is one part that needs to be really reliable. So I believe that SanDisk is a very reliable brand, and the reason why I say this is because in the past I've kind of gone for cheap memory cards and I haven't been very careful when placing them in my laptop, so a little bit of the side broke off, and when I tried to put my memory card in, I literally was locked out from all my pictures, couldn't get access, and that was everything gone. So I really do recommend, you know, investing in a really reliable brand, and I can't vouch for SanDisk enough. Also, as well as the memory card, I recommend thinking about space. I've always used to go for really small, you know, memory sizes and gigabyte sizes, sorry, I should say. And that was because that's what I could afford. Again, it's great for starting off, but if you are someone shooting things like Fashion Week, and especially when you're traveling and doing street photography, it can end up taking up a lot because one, you may see more than you expect to, and two, it's just a lot easier than having to keep constantly clearing out your camera, because that's what I would have to do. But for each shoot, I would have to clear it out, and I wouldn't have time to look over the pictures. I would just throw it onto my laptop, take it off, and then I would have to go through it manually on my laptop later. But just having a bigger gigabyte space means that, you know, it's all there on your camera. You don't have to rush to take it off. You don't have to panic thinking I have no space. I was one of those people that I would get to shoots and I'd be like, oh, sorry, I have to like delete pictures, you know, just so I would have space. And again, it's something that's so easily avoidable. Don't have to do it to yourself, just get more storage. One of the things I would mention when it comes to memory cards is backing up your stuff. I have been that person where I haven't backed it up, and again, I've lost stuff, and it's just the worst feeling, because it's one of those things where it's like, I can't recreate it, I can't just go back and do it all over again. It's not that simple with street photography, you know, whereas with outfits, you can go back out, put that outfit back on, go there. With street photography, those people won't be there waiting for me. Fashion Week, the event's done, it's dusted, what I've lost is what I've lost. So I really do recommend, what I do is go home, I'll put it all onto my laptop, I'll copy it all over. Sometimes I may leave it on my camera because, you know, I do edit from my phone sometimes, so I'll send it to my phone, or I'll completely clear it off, put it all on my laptop. If I'm dying and I know I need loads of space, you can never go wrong with just having it on your laptop, saved in a folder that you know you'll be able to find later. Don't make the mistake of just thinking, oh yeah, I'll be fine not backing it up, or I'll do it at this point. Just do it. You will thank yourself later, I promise. So as I mentioned earlier, I like to use my phone to edit. One of the reasons why is because I'm always on the go. I'm one of those people that I've kind of got into the flow with editing now, because I know my style and I've been able to create presets that I love. So the great thing about phones is that you can download apps like Lightroom, Photoshop and VSCO on your phone. And I mostly use Lightroom and I mostly use VSCO just because, again, so simple to use. With Lightroom, you're able to actually download and transport all your presets over. So you can literally smack it on, and once you're someone like me who's got that ready, then you can literally go and edit that, throw it up, send it over even if you're ready to. And same thing with Lightroom as well, you're able to kind of still tweak it in the same way you may do on a laptop. Just because I feel like having and running around with a laptop, especially when you're doing street photography, it's another thing to carry, it's another thing to worry about having, it's another thing you need to charge and make sure that it's okay. So that's the great thing about being able to send it to my phone. It's one less thing to worry about. I always will have my phone with me. So yeah, that's why I like editing on my phone. I don't use my phone when shooting street style. I do use my cameras. It's just great for all-around editing, all-around being able to even send off files as I'm going, because you can get apps like WeTransfer and throw them in from your phone, or things like Google Docs and just slap them in, send them to the person so they can actually review them as you're shooting in case they don't like the editing style, or in terms of your photography, if they want you to maybe change up the frames and get more things. You're able to kind of have that rather than sending it at the end of the day and they're coming back to you with things like, oh, I don't really love this, or I wish you did this. That's the great thing about being able to send it as you go. Just keeping people up to date as well, and especially if you're doing a takeover for a company, you may need to do it throughout the day. Again, being able to send and edit on the go means you're able to kind of keep those stories going throughout the day, so people are really intrigued and you're able to build that story up and build people's excitement as you go. You don't have to wait till the end of the day. So that's why I really do recommend considering your phone for editing if you're someone that finds waiting until the end of the day a very long part of the process with street photography. As well as me, I'm just someone that's very excited. The moment I know I have pictures I like, I just know I want to share some of them before the day's over. So that's the great thing about being able to edit on your phone. So the bag I'm using, and if you're wondering, yes, the reason why I have it in my hand is because I cannot pronounce it and I don't want to butcher it, is the Wandrd PRVKE Light. I've kind of spelled it out there for you guys just, in case. 11-litre backpack, and it has been amazing. It has changed my life, especially as someone that used to throw their camera in their tote bag. I know you're judging. It is what it is, I'll be honest. I'm a changed person, I'm doing better these days. And the reason why I think this bag is great is because it has so many different compartments. So starting off with the back, where my camera is, it's great. I can just unzip it like this. And the great thing is, with travel and street photography, one of the things you may worry about is theft. This is one of the great things about it being, zipping from the back. You feel safe. The back where your camera and everything is protected because, this lays against your back, so no one can unzip it. So you don't have to worry about that. And inside of it, there are so many different compartments. So if you're someone that carries multiple lenses, there's so many different slots. I have 2 bodies that I'm able to fit into this, which is amazing. And then there's other spaces as well. So if you want to put in your different memory cards, if you want to put in your different batteries or your battery grip, it's amazing. You can do that. Love that. So the great thing about this bag also is that it has pockets on the sides. So if you're someone that carries a water bottle, if you're someone that carries a tripod, there is space for you to do that. So you've got one here, and then you've got another one that zips here. Great. You've also got the front part. So you've got an area where you can store all your personal stuff. So in here I have a tote bag and I have my handbag just sitting in here, water bottle, it's great as well. And then you've also got this zip on the side, so if you're someone that carries your laptop, like I mentioned, if you're someone that wants to edit on the go, or if you just want to bring your laptop to do work, answer emails, or if you're a freelancer in other areas, you can bring your laptop with you in one bag, which is amazing to me. And that's why I love it. There's so many things about it. It supports my back, and while I'm walking, I don't feel weighted down. Because sometimes having things like a tote bag, it's on your shoulders. Having a bag that goes across your body, it's dragging down. I've got one strap on each shoulder, so I feel balanced as well. It's great. Honestly, I can't recommend it enough, especially if you're traveling. It's just light. You could even roll up your clothes into here, into the personal space if you wanted to, and just use it as a complete backpack, because there's so much space to carry so many different things for different people. So another thing that it has, which I know a lot of you guys will appreciate, it has its own phone pocket. I'm someone that always feels a bit awkward when it comes to bags, not knowing where to put my phone, because I really want to be able to access it. So this is a great little zip here that you can put it in. You're able to get your camera quite easily without having to stress too much. You're able to have great access to it. And one other thing that I think is amazing in the back pockets is you are able to move the different parts around. So as I mentioned, I've got it set up like this because I'm carrying 2 different bodies, but if you're someone that needs more space because you have bigger lenses, then you're able to actually move these parts about and readjust it just so it fits your camera, your gear, your needs, which I really do appreciate, because I know that some of us have different lenses. For example, if you're someone that does wildlife photography, you may have bigger lenses because, for zoom and being closer. You can make that work for you. If you're someone that has a 50mm like me, that doesn't take up much space, you're able to throw that in and work around the other cameras. If you're someone that has a smaller body camera, because I know DSLRs can be quite big compared to things like if you have a small point and shoot film camera, or if you have a mirrorless camera, those are also quite smaller as well, and tend to be able to create much more space with that compared to a DSLR. So next I'm going to be talking about cameras, which one to pick, why I'm working with the one I do. And the great thing about brands like Canon is that they have a range. So if you're someone that likes to look at film, you can use film cameras. I have been as well to shoot street style photography, and also when I'm traveling. The only thing with film is that, film prices are on the rise and it's so much harder to find film. And the reason why I'm traveling with my DSLR, my 60, is because I just love that I'm able to send myself the pictures and look at them, whereas with film you kind of sometimes have to wait to get it developed. I'm someone that's very keen. I like being able to see what I have straight away. I like sharing as I'm on the go with my travels. So that's one great thing about it. But what I would like to stress is that, the great thing about street style and street photography is that you don't have to have the highest camera available. So the 60 is great. I just recently kind of moved up to this myself. However, there are so many different Canon cameras for so many different budgets. So if you're someone that's just starting out, Again, I can't recommend cameras like the 600D, 700D. There are so many that are still being used till this day that don't get the recognition they deserve and sometimes are overlooked. I feel like sometimes with photography, it can be very easy to kind of go online, look at roundups, and they'll tell you to kind of go for like, one of the highest ones up there. But it can be a bit daunting, especially if you're someone that's just trying to learn how to use a camera, going all the way into the deep end, just because you kind of want to be able to try and match everyone else's quality. But I really do recommend kind of starting from the bottom and working your way up, especially if you're someone that wants to focus on budget. I really do think that going off what you can afford and what works for you is the best. I don't recommend, going what's the highest, what's going to get me the best picture. What gets you the best picture is the camera that you feel most comfortable with and that you've learned to use the best. That's what the best picture is to me, not the one that was taken on the most expensive equipment with the biggest lens available. It's what someone was able to use and make the most of, and they feel really proud of. That's the best picture. Martin Parr still shoots with a 5D Mark IV, so one of the greatest. Can't knock it till you've tried it, and clearly it works, because the proof is in the pudding. So I'm someone that really lives by that, and I feel like it's really important to stress, because when you're starting your journey, some of the people that you look to kind of have the best gear, so it's kind of like, oh, when you look at their highlights or you ask them what are you using, they're using some of the best stuff, and you just feel like, well, I have to match that. But no, that person didn't start there. They're able to get there now because, the journey they've gone on and they've been able to afford it. You don't have to. We all start somewhere, and as long as you kind of learn and you're able to grow, then that's all that matters. So when it comes to giving tips on camera gear, my first one would be to always consider buying secondhand. I am a secondhand queen. From every camera I've had, I've bought it online secondhand, and the great thing is companies like Wex, they have a pre-loved section where you're able to buy it secondhand. And the good thing is, most of the time, because it's people that are working with cameras and no cameras, the quality is going to be great, and you can also see those pictures and you know that you're going to be able to save some money, and some of them are pretty much like brand new and you've saved hundreds. It's great, it's best of both worlds for you. Got new gear and you save money on it. I can't recommend it enough because it can be so hard to save up and wait for that right amount of money to come in where you feel like you're able to part with that when it comes to cameras, especially if you are someone that's kind of trying to upgrade. It did take me a while to feel like I could afford my 6D because of the job I was previously working, but eventually when I did spend that money, I was very excited and I could see the difference in the quality and just having those extra things like being able to send it to my phone. It made a world of a difference for me when it came to doing different jobs. The second thing I would recommend is practice, practice, practice. I know it sounds obvious, I know it sounds boring, but I feel like the more that you shoot, the more comfortable you feel with your camera, the more you know what it does, especially when it comes to things like weather. Like, it's straight away what kind of settings to put your camera onto, what works, how to shoot in different types of weather, and I just feel like when you have a massive catalogue of pictures to go from, you just regrow, you can see what you like, because as I mentioned in the first episode, that I'm someone that it took me quite a long time to kind of feel and get to street photography. I kind of played around with all the different areas of photography, starting from fashion and doing outfits of the day and working with influencers in that sphere, to kind of move into events and corporate and finding I didn't like that, to finally making my way to street photography and loving that. So the third piece of advice I would give would be to have backup batteries. Either you have multiple batteries like me, I'm someone that carries around 3 when I shoot usually, or to actually buy one of the battery grips so you can kind of, charge your camera as you go. Because there is nothing worse than being halfway through shooting something and your camera dies and everyone's looking at you like, what's going on? And you kind of just have to explain, my battery's dead, there's nothing I can do, would you like me to shoot the rest on my phone? Not great, especially when you're trying to come off as professionals. So I really do recommend having spares, as well as memory cards if you're someone that doesn't have one like I do, where it's a bigger size, maybe having 2. If it's more affordable for you to buy 2 than splurge and go all the way, then maybe just having a second one just in case, because again, there's nothing worse than having to be like, oh, give me 5 minutes just so I can delete some pictures, and you're there panicking, going through trying to see which pictures aren't great, which ones do I not like. And you may regret deleting those pictures later because they actually may have been really good, but you're just judging it off those quick few seconds trying to be fast. So I do recommend just having extras just to save yourself time, save yourself from worrying, because you never know what might happen on the day. You may forget to charge your battery, You may forget to bring an extra SD card, so having backup is it's great. Just packing it in the night before into your bag, doing a little checklist, running through and making sure you have it all makes all the difference. So that is my gear, and I will be going off to shoot now, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next episode where we talk some more. See you guys soon.